Hello and welcome back to another travel series. In this season, we will be exploring the beautiful country of Mexico. Now, it is my first time here, and I'll be honest, the news often paints Mexico as a very dangerous, dirty, and unfriendly country, but I've always wanted to see it for myself without letting others' opinions or the media shape my perspective. So flying in, I definitely was nervous because I just didn't know what to expect. But long story short, Mexico is an incredible country. For this trip, we will be staying in Sayulita, a colorful little beach town on Mexico's Pacific coast. It's known for its boho surf vibes, cobblestone streets, and relaxed, laid-back energy. Just think tacos, sunset, and barefoot living. To get here from LA, we flew from LAX to Puerto Vallarta International Airport. Then we drove about 45 minutes through lush tropical roads to reach the coastal gem of Sayulita. If you're flying into Mexico for the first time from the US, all you need is your US passport. No visa is required for a short stay. We stayed for about 10 days, so that's why we didn't get a visa. Right before landing, the flight attendants will hand out a customs declaration form, kind of like how they do before you arrive in Hawaii. And all you have to do is fill it out with basic information like how many days you're staying in Mexico and who's traveling with you, etc. And just make sure you hold on to that form because you'll definitely need it when the custom officer will ask you for your form when you go through immigration. So don't lose it, it's very important. Our plane landed on the Tamarack right outside the main airport building, and it totally reminded me of the flights I took when I was in Europe, just landing right outside the airport and having to walk down and then take a shuttle to get to the actual airport. So after getting off the plane, we walked across the runway and hopped on a shuttle bus that took us to the airport entrance. And it's definitely a more laid-back arrival compared to the big US airport experience. Right outside the airport, things got a little bit hectic. There were a lot of people trying to get our attention, all offering taxi rides, and it was just very loud, overwhelming, and honestly the most intimidating part of the entire trip for me. Thankfully, my boyfriend stepped in and handled everything. He knows how to negotiate the best price for a taxi. One of the drivers quoted us 2,500 pesos, which is equivalent to about $125, which is way too expensive. When they said that price, my boyfriend just said no. Instead of taking a taxi, we opted for taking a bus, which turned out to be a lot more budget friendly and a more authentic way to start our adventure. There are regular buses that go from Puerto Vallarta to Sayulita. The Compostela Bus line operates a direct service between the two locations, with buses running every 20 minutes. So that worked perfectly for us. To find the bus stop, it's the hardest part. Just walk over the bridge from the airport and then turn left. And then the bus stop will be right in front of a liquor drugstore. And when you get on the bus, just tell the driver in Spanish where you want to go, or just say Sayulita. Then they'll give you a slip of paper, and then you just get on the bus. And the bus driver will tear a part of that paper off, which will be the amount that you owe in pesos. So you can pay the driver whenever. You can pay up front, or you can pay when you get off. We ended up paying after a lot of the people got off the bus because it was super crowded when we got on. But towards the end of the drive, everyone got off. So just make sure you have cash and just be ready for a crowded bus depending on what time you get on. The bus ride should be around 30 to 65 pesos. We paid about 50 pesos for 2 people. The journey took about 1 hour and there were no seats on the bus at the start. And it did kind of freak me out because the bus driver was a little bit of a crazy driver, but the seats did open up and people did offer me their seats, which I thought was super kind and something that would never happen on an L train in Chicago or just any other state in the US.
Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar. Yo sé que tú quieres y te va a gustar. Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar. Yo sé que tú quieres y te va a gustar. Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar con esta cumbia que te va a gustar. Oye, pone bien loquita cuando yo le entro. Le doy un poquito más. Ella se excita, se excita, se excita. Ella es bien bonita, bien bonita, bien bonita. Como lo menea, dame lo que quieras. Ella es una loca, lo hacemos donde quiera. Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar. Yo sé que tú quieres y te va a gustar. Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar. Yo sé que tú quieres y te va a gustar. Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar.
Okay, we made it to Mexico. This is so exciting because this is my 15, 16, this is my 17th country I've been to so far, which is so cool. That is amazing to me. 17 countries? Wow. So anyway, we just got here, took a bus over to Sayulita, and then just walked to our Airbnb, which I think it was like a 10-minute walk. Like, it was super fast. This place it's nice. It's a lot smaller than our Airbnb in Hawaii. It will be okay. Because there's also office space here, and there's like a gym and a pool area. So there's different places to kind of go and hang around. Anyway, we are meeting up with Travis's friend's dad, and he's gonna let us borrow his motorcycle, and then we're gonna go get some dinner, hopefully with him, and check out the town at night, which I'm so excited about. I was getting a lot of Europe vibes just walking down just one of the streets. There's so many different like little cafes and restaurants with cute tables outside and like candles, and it's so cute. And this is just at nighttime, so I'm so excited to see what it's gonna be like in the morning. It will be cool. For dinner, ironically, we went with pizza for our first night in Mexico. We went to a spot called Trattoria Toscana in San Pancho, and they also have another location right in Sayulita. But San Pancho is just a cute little town to go and visit. They have great pizza. I got the prosciutto pizza, which was crispy, fresh, and just so full of flavor. This restaurant has been around for 7 years, and it's easy to see why they're one of the top Italian spots in town. On our first full day in Sayulita, we started the day with some coffee and reading at the cutest cafe called Panini Land. The owners are incredibly sweet, and the vibe is just so relaxed. There's these cute little tables on the side of the road, and you can just watch people walk by and drive by on their motorcycles. One of the unique things about this cafe is, like the mini spots in Sayulita, by the way, is that you pay after you're served. So it's cash only, and you can just enjoy the experience and then pay after. So just a quick travel tip: when you're visiting Sayulita, make sure to carry cash, aka pesos, with you, because there's only a few restaurants that do offer that tap to pay option, and the majority of places are cash only from my experience. Now, I will say there's a ton of ATMs around town, so you can just go to the main ATM in the town square, grab your cash, and you'll be set. Before I went to Sayulita, I saw some people recommending online to get the pesos at the airport or at a larger city before arriving in Sayulita, since Sayulita is such a small town and sometimes the ATMs could run out of cash. That was not an issue we ran into, and if you stop at the ATM in the center of town, there shouldn't be any issues. Next, we headed to the famous Chocobanana for breakfast. This place is a staple in the heart of Sayulita and has been around for decades. This spot is well known by both locals and travelers, and it's easy to see why. The food is fresh, the vibes are laid back. It's definitely a must visit if you're in town. I ended up getting an omelet, and my boyfriend got the breakfast burrito, which I definitely should have ordered the burrito, but that's okay. I will return. In Sayulita, there's no shortage of things to do. You can shop, you can eat, you can drink, you can surf, relax on the beach, go on a hike, or just chat with the incredibly kind locals, which is something you won't find anywhere else in the world, or at least it's rare. Since it was our first day in Sayulita, I wanted to just explore and get a feel for the town. That way I know exactly what I would want to do each day going forward. The beach here is absolutely stunning. Just picture golden sand, swaying palms, and warm sand. One important thing I will mention though is if you do go swimming, be careful about accidentally swallowing ocean water because it can make you sick when you visit Sayulita. I was just super cautious during the entire trip and I didn't get sick from swallowing water because I didn't swallow water. We also discovered a secret beach a bit further from the main town, which has much clearer water, peaceful vibes, and it's perfect for swimming. I'm convinced if you have a good Airbnb or hotel, your trip will be amazing. And if you have a terrible Airbnb, you probably won't have a good time. I was super happy with our Airbnb because it had this amazing rooftop pool, and the pool was an infinity pool, which is absolutely amazing, and it had views of the beach. It honestly looks straight out of a postcard. The water was so cold though. It took some serious convincing to get into the water, but I finally managed to get in and I definitely enjoyed the refreshing swim. Every time we went up to the rooftop, there wasn't a ton of people up there, and on this day in particular, there was no one in the pool, so I was happy about that. So when you go to Mexico, you should always drink water out of a bottle, not from tap. I would recommend checking out the convenience stores that they have in Sayulita. Now, there were two that I visited frequently. The first is called OXXO, and the other location is called Kiosko. And inside, it's basically like a 7-Eleven or Walgreens, basically any sort of drugstore you'd find in the US or in Japan. And they also have a ton of different snacks as well. One thing I found interesting about these convenience stores is all of the chips and snack foods that they have on the shelves are labeled with this huge logo that says excessive sodium and excessive calories. Like, these potato chips are unhealthy, and so the Mexican government literally prints on their chips, don't eat this because it has excessive calories and excessive sodium. So they're not trying to fool anyone. Everything that's unhealthy in Mexico, you will clearly know before you purchase it, which I think is really cool and something that will probably never happen in the US because the US just wants to kill us with the processed food that they sell to us, but that's a different story.
Mamacita, hago los pasitos bien prohibidos que te excita. Dime si tú quieres, vamos a bailar.
I love just walking around Sayulita and just appreciating all of the architecture and the beautiful paintings and the interesting murals all over town. I will say though, when you are walking, just make sure you are looking down, especially your first time walking around the town, because some of the sidewalks just randomly end out of nowhere and there's like a massive gap in the sidewalk, and if you're not looking down, your foot could go in that hole and then you're gonna trip and faceplant into cement. So that's just something to be aware of. Just think like European streets sort of vibe, where it's cobblestone, but then it's really uneven in some cases. But I will say, some parts of the town, they have great sidewalks, great roads, but it's not the entire town. I did notice as well, there are a lot of areas in Sayulita that are kind of dirty, and that's just the way it is. and you kind of learn to just appreciate it, and it's all part of the experience. For dinner, I definitely wanted to order my first margarita in Mexico, and so we went to the cutest little restaurant on the street, and it was called Sayulita Cafe, and I got a strawberry margarita. It was absolutely delicious, and I just loved this moment so much. We also had to order some guacamole, ceviche, and then I got the chicken fajitas, and my boyfriend got a steak, and we were eating really good. Then we walked around a bit, and we felt like we both deserved a churro. So when you buy churros in Sayulita, you have to get the churros that are over the bridge. Do not get the churros that are in the center of town, like on the square. You don't want to get those because they're not as good, and they're a smaller portion than the churros over the bridge. So on this night, I didn't know that there was a difference, and so we just got the churros in the square, and I was happy. But the next day, when I had the best churro of my life, I decided I'm never going to eat that other churro again. So when you're in Sayulita at night, there's always something going on, and we were just walking down the street, and then there's just this man throwing fire in the air just a couple feet away from these people eating dinner. We stopped and watched the show, and it was kind of funny because while he's performing, all of the cars and golf carts and motorcycles that are trying to pass by are just stopped because he's performing and throwing fire in the air, so they can't really go around. Some people went around, but most people didn't. That was interesting, but in the US, if that happened, people would be honking and yelling and just saying, move! But here in Sayulita, everyone is just nice, and they just wait for the performance to be done, and then they just continue on with their day. It's like no one's mad. Everyone's just gets along, and it's a nice vibe.